Hello everyone, and today is going to be a very quick video. Um, there was a subscriber. He was talking to me and asked me to do a project on his spacers. Um, he's had the wheels for about 2 years and the spacer sitting around at the house for a year, and he was going to send them back to the manufacturer, but the manufacturer wasn't going to pay the shipping costs. The shipping cost was going to cost him a little over $200, and he felt that it wasn't worth uh, the price to ship them back to the manufacturer to do the repairs on it. Apparently, he went and measured the hub of the rim, and when he sent out the measurement was slightly too big as far as depth and girth. So when they went and sent the product over to him, he tried to put them on and it didn't fit very well. So he sent me he actually drove 3.5 hours to me and brought me the spacers and a rim so I could go ahead and do this video. I'm not gonna go deep into it, but I will demonstrate fairly quickly on how I did the project, and I will go ahead and do the last spacer on video so you can see what I did as far as how I came about coming up with the proper measurements and doing the spacers for these rims. Okay, as far as tools, you gotta have a miter saw, Dremel tool, a grinder, DA, metal cutting blade for your miter saw. This tool right here was important. You gotta have a calibrator. I got a digital calibrator from Harbor Freight for like $7, but I had a coupon. It came out to be like $6 for it. Handy tool, perfect. So don't forget your safety glasses and your gloves, because you're cutting metal. You don't want to go ahead and get any metal fragments in your skin or in your eyes. It's already bad as it is out here with the coronavirus. We don't want to be sitting in the hospital for some metal fragments in our skin or in our eyes. Alright, so first things first. I actually went, if you have a 12-inch miter saw, this will be perfect. This is only a 10-inch. It was kind of difficult to do with the 10-inch because I had to actually take the spacer and rotate it and cut the other section of the spacer. So I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate what I did. Okay, so first, here's the rim, and I took the center hub. Like I said, I'm gonna demonstrate what I've done. I'm not doing all this fully live, only on the last part of the setup of this hub. Okay, so I took the spacer, I placed it on there, and you see it's not sitting flush. Okay, this is not me moving it. This is actually not sitting flush. The spacer the lip on the spacer is about 1/2 inch, and that was entirely too big. It was sticking out 1/2 inch away from the rim. So I took calibrator. There's a bevel right here on your rim. You should see it on all your wheels, no matter the make or model. This has a bevel. I took the calibrator. I calibrated at least a 1/16 past the bevel and a 1/16 inside past the bevel, and I used that as a gauge. Um, it was almost 3/16. I went ahead, I grabbed a spacer, and as you can see here, the spacer here, I already had cut, okay? But I took a piece of tape on the edge, and I took a painter's mixing stick. I used it, I gauged it with the calibrator, and it was the exact thickness. So I went and I used this to gauge all the way around. When I taped it, first I used the stir stick, and I used a razor blade, and I cut the tape of the thickness of this by laying it flat on here, and I cut all the way around the spacer. As you can see, it's flush with this mixing stick. All right, so after that, I cut the spacer on the miter saw. Once again, I'm not doing this live, I'm just demonstrating. So putting the spacer here was challenging. So I took, if I could find it now, I took a piece of PVC, okay, this 1/2-inch tubing, laid it across. Like I said, this is a 10-inch miter saw, so if it was a 12, it would have been great. You would still have to use this PVC, because this will stay, you have to press in an angle, so that way it could stay flush. Sitting on, here's metal fragments of the spacer. So it could sit flush on the miter saw, but also sit flush up against the tubing while you cut. You don't want to spin this while you're cutting. You want to keep this steady and hold it firm. You want to hold this firmly while you're coming down with the blade. As you see the blade, this is as far as my blade goes. So I raised up, and since I already had it taped and gauged off with the tape, I went and I spin the spacer around where I need to cut again, and I just went ahead and came back down and cut the rest. Okay, of course, you don't want to cut two different sections, but I had to because of the size of the miter saw. This is where the grinding wheel comes in. Once again, I went ahead, the tape will come off of this, so I retaped it, and yes, there's a lot of steps, and it seems crazy, but it beats sending your spacers back to the manufacturer, spending $200 and something where they wouldn't pay for the shipping. So I went ahead and I went ahead and taped it all the way around again. Grabbed my painter's stick, the mixing stick, and I placed it on there. I cut the tape off with the razor, gauging it. After I did that, I took the grinding wheel, I resurfaced the spacer as flat as possible. Of course, this was made by machine and I'm manually doing this, so it's not gonna be dead on perfect, but it beats not having a flat area, which you will need when I show you the next step. So after you cut, you resurface, your tape will need to be removed after you resurface it. The tape is going to help you line up how deep you have to bring down that area to make sure it's all level. Once you got it level, you can either take the sander, smooth it out, okay, or you go to your next step, which will be the Dremel tool. Now, this is where I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate the last section of the project. Then you Dremel tool that. So here, let me show you what the spacer looks like. After you bevel it with the Dremel tool, and this is what it looks like. It's flat, it's sanded down, it's got a nice bevel all the way around, it's fairly even, and it actually fits on the wheel. So I'm gonna demonstrate with the one that doesn't have the bevel. Okay, you still have to do the bevel on this. Now this is the one with the bevel, and it fits flat. This is what you're looking for, and the reason for him buying these spacers is because he wants the wheels to come out a little further from the vehicle, and he's jacking up his truck. So once again, this is what you have to do to adjust the thickness on that lip that came with the spacer. They're actually a great company. Fortunately, the owner of the rim and the person that purchased the spacer was not accurate with the measurements, and this is why I'm actually doing this today. All right, so right here, the Dremel tool and the bit that I'm using, it's got teeth that actually chip away, and since that's aluminum, this would be the best thing to use for it versus stone or sander type from the Dremel tool. You want to try to get one of these. It's got teeth on it. It actually cuts fairly quick, but you want to be careful on the placement on the spacer. You want to keep this thing moving, and I got the technique pretty packed down now, where I place the Dremel tool on here and I do a back and forth weaving. as you see, it's taking shape. Okay, see the bevel. I just have a little bit more and I already know what it is. Okay, so you still see the black. I'm gonna see if I can point it out for you. You see this section right here, this little lip right here, that has to go down. And as soon as you get this part down, you'll be putting a gouge all the way around this spacer, and that would indicate that you got that lip down as far as you can. Once you get that done, then you go ahead and go all the way around a little bit more on a deeper angle, about the same all the way around right now on the spacer. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take this lip off now. There you have it. That's the shape you want to have. Right there. See the bevel on there? Alright. Now from here, what I'll do is I'll sand this surface, sand this surface, sand the very edge, and you're done. Spacers are completed. I will go ahead, I'm gonna take some flat black paint, spray the top surface, let this dry, then I'll press the studs through the wheel, the spacer. I'll press the studs through the spacer, and this will complete the project. Well, there you have it. I'm sure he's gonna be happy to put these spacers and the rims finally on. According to him, it's been 2 years. Now he'll be able to complete his truck and be happy with the final results. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, bell on the bottom left corner. Well, bottom right corner if you're looking at the camera, or you're looking at the video. And please leave a comment. Another thing that I did forget to mention is when you're doing the calibration for the spacers, another thing I did was I did measure from the inside of the rim, and that also helped me out with getting a rough idea of this down. If you see, they're all about the same as far as the bevel goes and the placement. Having this tool is very, very helpful. Don't forget, go to Harbor Freight, pick you up one of these. It's fairly cheap. Get the coupon, you'll probably pay somewhere around $6 for it. There you have it. Guys, once again, thank you for watching. This is in my garage, and stay tuned The Crown Vic is getting shaved door handles. I will do a video on that, and it's getting door poppers. I'll be looking forward to demonstrating that video and showing you that project on the Crown Victoria. Be safe and stay blessed.